we have Molly Carter. Molly has spent her career guiding and working with some of the world's most iconic brands: Gatorade, Converse, Nike, the Chicago Bulls, and ESPN. And she's also worked with some of the most recognizable athletes: Kobe Bryant, Derek Jeter, Peyton Manning, Dwayne Wade. She has recently served as president of Kobe Inc., the umbrella company formed by NBA legend Kobe Bryant to redefine storytelling within sports. Welcome, Molly.
Hi.
Molly, such a pleasure. I have so much pent up admiration, and we've never had to, I'm a pretty serendipity kind of operator in life, but I'm glad we're here, and I hope
Gary
you're well.
V, the man, the myth, the legend. It's good to see you.
Great to see you. So, Mal, why don't you create some context? Obviously, those were big statements from Andrea, but in your own words, a little 2-3 minutes for the audience to get a sense of you.
Yeah, I will spare the resume read, but I think, early in my career, I took a job in sports to pay the bills. I had no idea what I wanted to do. And I got there and I realized that there was a sense of community that I really enjoyed and I enjoyed being part of. So I stuck with it. I worked for collegiate basketball team, pro basketball team. I worked for agencies and brands. And I got to the point where I realized I was missing a piece of the professional pie, and it was that startup piece. And so I packed up the family and we came to California, and I joined the team in building what Kobe was going to do next. And it was a great experience to create something from nothing. And I now have that experience. I'm hugely grateful for it. I think, now I'm at a pivotal point in my career, given the shitty year that has happened, to figure out how do you take all of that past 25 years, pack it up, and go do something big and impactful with it, because he would kick my ass if I didn't. So here we are. So that's the resume. And, I think there's a huge opportunity to do some great work here. And just because he's not with us doesn't mean that the mission dies. So that's the good news.
I haven't had the whole frog and throat thing going on. It's been, when I think
2020, Gary.
Yeah, I mean,
is real.
It's funny. I said something to one of my best friends. I've said this many times when people are really struggling with COVID, and it's really hard to find somebody who didn't admire Kobe. So it's been easy for me to deliver this line without even context of who I was talking to. Mm-hmm. I always tell people, you do understand that if COVID started 3 months earlier, Kobe would be on this earth probably for another 60 years, in trying to help people put things into perspective when they were upset that they couldn't go to Italy for the summer, right? I'm like, hey, there's bigger things here. Yeah. Talk to me about, I don't want to sway too much because I can get very emotional here because I have so much competition. Competition used for good as a framework is basically my life's vision. So I always understood what he was up to in a lot of ways. So that's where it goes for me. But just to keep it on the rails, going from Converse and Gatorade to startup land. Yeah. Because I know so many people are contemplating it. Jeff Smith, who I can't, is Jeff still here? Yes. Anyway, there's people that have been on this show who did it. There's a lot of people listening to this show. I mean, if you're watching my stuff, most of my last 10 years has been in corporate land, but entrepreneurship is the North Star. And so there's a lot of people listening right now at the crossroads. What was the hardest thing and what was the best thing?
I think, listen, I'll check the box on startup land because we really did create something from nothing, and we created something from an idea, and we can talk about that later. But I think, I worked for an iconic athlete and a highly intelligent one and a very creative one. So there was something there to work with. And everybody, his work ethic is legendary, right? So you know, you do your homework before you take a jump into startup land. And I knew.
Did you get to interact with him a lot through the years of the serendipity of because when I looked at the, you know, back in the day, I was like, oh, it's not like the obvious that they work together a whole lot.
Oh, no, I mean,
Right.
we had met in passing, but we didn't know each other, right?
Yeah, that, you know, it's funny. I wanted to, you know, I was going to keep that for personal, but here we are. Like I was like, wait a minute, this doesn't me. I mean, you never know, but I was like, this isn't the obvious one where they've been working together 7 years on the brand side and made it obvious.
Yep. It's Gary. And it's, you know it better than anybody. It's the relationships that you make along the way and the 100%. People that you know. And my predecessor in the role, his name is Andrea Fairchild. She got here first. She and I had worked together for so many years.
I see.
Called me and said, I need you out here. I can't do this right all by myself. And so, you know, it was startup land, but it was somewhat safe because I knew that I was working with just a stone cold killer, right? And we were not going to fail. And there was safety in that. I think a lot of startups don't have that.
I think that's right.
And we did. So it was, you know, I'm not going to overstate, right? I had a safe startup. And, you know, he was
one could argue the reverse. I think you're right. But I think if I'm thinking through the eyes and ears of some of the people that are listening here, you know, I think one of the things, it's really safe to be in Converse and Gatorade land from my point of view, right? Because you can hide. You can hide.
Yeah.
To your
Who
point,
wants to hide? Come on.
Well, listen. That's in the way you delivered that. Honestly, I don't know if you can see this. I got goosebumps because I'm like, literally what I said to myself was winner, because in your perspective, it was safe because you knew who you were.
Yes.
Like, I get it. Like, it's so binary. I would argue 95% of people I interact with would never go there because it's dangerous, because the spotlight would have exposed you when you can hide at Pepsi or Gatorade or Converse.
The only way to make it work, Gary, and your point is dead on, is to know who you are.
Yeah.
And you have the confidence going into that situation. You have your own self-worth in check. You have your values in check. And I was very fortunate to learn at Converse and Gatorade and have those amazing marketing experiences that I otherwise wouldn't have had or felt secure to go jump off this cliff, right? I had taken roles within the Gatorade marketing organization that is tremendous at building marketing leaders. It just is. And the reason Gatorade is so great that way is because I was forced into roles where I had no idea what I was doing.
For everybody who's listening,
packaging, you know, and you learn and you figure out about yourself that you can pivot.
Well, let's talk about that. When I launched Vayner Sports 4 years ago, and it's a hard question for me to answer because my brother's really running that company. I'm a good recruiter. I've got home run hitting ability, so I make things happen. Yeah. But I get an enormous amount of women hitting me up asking about sports.
Yep.
I'm a woman, it's a very top of mind question for many women getting into sports. Is it an old boys club? Is it bad for me? Am I going to like this or hate this? And I've been to be frank, I've been very humbled by how many ask me, because it makes me feel like, oh good, my reputation is doing a good, they feel it's a safe place. I would argue that this might be one of the best places I can help them with. So I'm going to ask the question, talk to me about the navigation through the sports industry and those kind of brands as a woman, back to self-awareness. What are the misconceptions? What is, and by the way, we all know this, everything is individual, right? You could have went to a different organization and had the worst boss, so I think with that all understanding, I also know that you can give a macro perspective. What are some of the things to think about? And then it's also 2021. How does that differ in your opinion from 2010? And before that, from the stories you might've heard from your mentors. So would love to speak on that for a few minutes.
I mean, hey, listen, I started working in sports 25 years ago. And the landscape was really different. And I think the landscape now is better. We have a long way to go. And, I felt throughout the course of my career, whether I knew it at the time or not, I felt really frustrated, angry, pissed off, annoyed, all those things. But I also saw an opportunity to change things. And I might be the, little white Irish girl that nobody expects to be in sports, but I took pride in that. And I was an unexpected person showing up and connecting well with the athletes and keeping my head down and doing a good job. And I felt like if I could keep doing that in my career and lead by example, maybe the next group coming up has a little bit less frustration, nerves, anxiety. Maybe that question that you get goes away a little bit. And
to give a shout out, because I think hate with the evolution of our times has gotten very loud, but I think that love is unfortunately often quiet.
Yeah.
So just for fun, give a shout out to somebody in those early days, both a man and a woman, who deserve a shout out from you as somebody who was a shield, was a stepping stone, was an advisor. If I ask you that question, if anyone stands out, I'm trying to do more of this. Just, maybe one of their cousins is listening right now and they send them a text. Like, I'm trying to put out more good into the world. I think if you're happy, you should. So just out of curiosity.
There's a lot of them. I think,
I'm sure.
I think early in my career, I was hired at the Atlanta Hawks, and it was at a time when the Hawks were going through different ownership, going through different coaches. There was the VP of communications there, Arthur Trish, and he took a chance and hired the girl to join the PR staff. And it was rare. This was 99.
Yep.
There weren't many women PR people in the league. And I think he did a good job giving me opportunities, but he also did a good job of trying to protect me. And a lot of times he and I got in fights about it because I didn't want to be protected. I see. Yeah. I wanted to figure it out on my own.
He thought he was doing the right thing in those scenarios. Yeah, it's like parenting.
And again, all love for him, right?
Yeah,
like,
totally. I see it.
100% respect on that. And I think from, then later in my career, I went to Converse, and that was run by Michael Spillane at the time, who's now, over at Nike. And he was a great leader who always gave you the leash. And I'm a little bit of a rabble rouser, a little bit of a rebel. I don't always say the popular opinion. I think you guys are talking about the loud mouth. I can definitely be that way. And he really guided me and taught me when was the right time to be the rebel, what was the right approach to be the rebel. And I learned a lot from him in that regard. And then I think, I mentioned Andrea before. She's always been a trailblazer for me, and somebody that's been a mentor for me, and my sister in all things. So
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. What it's hard. I've been asking a lot of people navigating COVID. You have such a much bigger challenge right before COVID.
Yeah.
So that's more, I would argue, and I don't know how you took it, every human takes. Now we're getting into like trauma land. I mean, I can't even imagine that day. Being pushed to that extreme emotional graph.
Yeah.
Any words of wisdom for people that are going to unfortunately go through something?
Yeah, I wish a day like that on nobody. But again, you go through those traumatic experiences and you really figure out who you are. And that is invaluable to have. And
for yourself, about you,
for yourself. Yeah. And again, it's about, the whiteboard in front of me and what's going to come next is one thing I'm sure as hell I know how to do is react in a crisis. And I knew it a little bit before, but now I really know it. And I've also learned too, aside from people being ill and losing lives, the shutdown for me came at a really interesting time. And it did give me time to just sit for a minute and reflect on, my boss and what I learned from him and how I'm going to use it. And that was okay. And I think it was. Were you the kind of person that, because I think we share some DNA as I'm getting to know you. I've known this from afar. Were you ever good at like
whether it was meditating or taking a walk with yourself? Did you use?
Never.
Yeah, I'm a thinker through motion. So
Yeah.
to the question, because I'm trying to help people,
Yeah.
we're through something so big,
Yep.
having such a I mean, geez, talk about back to back big.
Yep.
Do you, you're still such a young woman, have so much in front of you. Do you now, as you were talking, like, oh, I wonder if she's now going to do that in the micro. Did she get value from that pause? And will she now bring that with herself where she'll try to find micro pauses because she was able to, she likes reflecting now in that pause? Or do you think you'll go to your natural kind of DNA?
TBD. I hope, I have gotten good about the long walk. I've gotten good about just trying to take a pause and being more mindful. And I really, what this time has taught me is gratefulness.
Gratitude.
And so much gratitude. I mean,
gratitude and humility
yep.
lead to so much uncomfortable levels of happiness.
Yeah. Yep.
I just wish people knew.
I know. So I hope I don't go back to, running and gunning and never focusing on what's important to me.
I will say this, Molly, for the runners and gunners, in the same way that finally alcoholism and mental health and a million other things, we've taken away stigma. I've been talking to a lot of people lately of like, look, just because your energy is not on trend and you are a runner and gunner, if you're happy and feel rested and in a great place, don't try to create behavior just because that's where the movement's going. You're lucky that you're self-aware and you're in a good place.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Yeah, you might just be an awesome runner and gunner and you're going to,
but it's that, people say it all the time. You're a better parent when you take time for yourself and you exercise.
Yes.
I was always terrible at that. And I am trying, and maybe it's because I'm getting old, but you take some time and you hopefully then have more to offer people because you've taken that moment. And listen, I'm not good at it. I have people telling me to take time and I'm like, what do you mean? What do I do with the time? How do I fill the time? So, I'm not an expert at it, but I'm getting better for sure.
I really appreciate you being here and I'm looking forward to building on this.
Thanks for having me. Hey, of course. I love it.
Yeah.
Love talking to you.
Thanks, Molly. Let me know if I could be of any help offline.
Thank you. Thank you. All right.
Thank you, Andrea. Take us home.
Wow, what a powerful way to conclude today's conversation. Gratitude. Thanks to all of you for joining us for this lucky episode number 13. We're going to take a break for a few weeks to take Marketing for the Now to new heights with a 2.0 version. We'd love to hear from you on what you'd like to see and experience next. So please continue the conversation on hashtag Marketing for the Now, or feel free to email us at marketingforthenow@gmail.com. While we're cooking up 2.0, check out past recordings on VaynerX.com, and we hope to see you soon. We'll send you an email and keep you posted. Thanks so much for coming.